Today I want to talk to you guys about high volleys. I got a request from one of our subscribers and he wanted to know how to do high volleys. So before we talk about high volleys, let's find out why they're so difficult. Well, now for one, your body is in a position where it's not comfortable. So it's falling as you're hitting the ball, right? Number two, a lot of us overuse the shoulder. So when we're lifting the racket, rather than lifting your hand and actually using the shoulder to lift your hand, you lift your shoulder. So right there, you're making your shoulder very weak. So ideally, you want to be lifting your hand by using the shoulder. The other thing is the follow through is not long enough because a lot of us are too worried about slicing too soon. So most of us end up here in the frame. So now that we know why they're so difficult, let's see what we can do to make them easier. So number one, you want to start with the point of contact. Ideally, you want to try to hold that point of contact so that you avoid hitting the frame. Second, we want to try to lift your hand by using the shoulder. So we don't want to be lifting the shoulder, we want to lift your hand by using the shoulder. So ideally, if you do that correctly, then we're gonna end up with the ideal V position, where the top of the racket is on the top and the bottom of the racket is on the bottom. So that ideally, after we do a nice follow through, we can cut with the tip. So the more the tip is up here, the more slice you can produce. But some of us do this and then there's really no room for slice. Next thing is slicing. A lot of us worry too much about slicing. Slicing needs to happen at the very end. So ideally, we want to try to enlarge that follow through. And then when it's time to slice, we want to try to slice with your forearm and your hand. So the last thing we want to do is use your shoulder to slice. So complete that follow through and then try to start the slice at the very end by using the forearm and your hand. The last thing is you want to stay high. You want to try to keep your racket where you made contact. Stretch, slice, and try to stay as high as you can. So let's try a few. So ideally, we want to try to make contact, hold it. What about body positioning? Both forehand and backhand are very different. And I want you to go back to the concept of separating your upper body from your lower body. Lower body is going to give you balance and upper body is going to give you power. So we want to try to keep your lower body sideways, going towards your target, and then your upper body on the forehand is going to follow your arm. Okay? Follow your arm. Because your shoulder needs to come from the back to the front. So remember, you are following the racket. Make sure that the upper body is not going first and then the racket. So the backhand volley is a different story. Because your arm is already in front, we don't need to be rotating. Because if you rotate, by the time you do that, you're actually bringing the racket away from where you want to go. So we want to try to keep your upper body and your lower body sideways. And your arm, it's going to go forward. So ideally, the motion is coming from the shoulder. So you're going to use the shoulder to move your arm. You're not going to move your shoulder. This is the last thing you want to do. So there it is, high forehand volleys and high backhand volleys. So if you're enjoying our videos, please like and subscribe. It really helps our channel grow and it helps us realize what it is that you guys would like us to talk about.